Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. It is Monday morning, and we are steadily making our way through the ninth chapter of the Gita. We meet here every Monday and Thursday, and we read through the Gita, and we try to kind of dive deep into the meanings of the verses and talk about its relevance to our lives. Because our goal here is not to become some kind of scholar or anything like that. Our goal is to just really understand the essence of the Gita so that we can apply it to our lives in a way that is relevant and makes us feel more connected to Source, makes us feel more connected to God. So that's what we're doing here. And we're on this journey of the transformation of the heart. And I was just sharing right before we started here that I'm really feeling this transformation of the heart. I was just sharing I was just home for a few days visiting my family, and I feel like it's one of the first times I've been home and I just haven't even felt triggered by my family. And I attribute that to these practices. So it's just so powerful. The more we get attached to Krishna, the less we're so infatuated with material energy and material attachments. And we become empowered. We become empowered, we become uplifted, and we just become happier and more loving human beings. So that's what we're doing here every Monday and Thursday. And today we're going to start with text. We're in chapter 9. We're going to start with text 31. So we're going to kind of continue the discussion that we were having on Thursday, which was such a powerful discussion. If you haven't been able to listen to that episode, make sure you put it on your list because it was to me, it was one of the most powerful episodes that we've had here. So thank you all for coming and sharing your hearts. So we'll start with text 31, but before we start, Stella, can you say our prayers for us?
Yes, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastacha Desha Tarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jana Jana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vanchakopa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna, thank you so much. So we will start with, let me share my screen. 931. I'll share my screen. And whenever you're ready, Stella.
He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace, O son of Kunti. Declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes.
Hmm, beautiful. Thank you. And just to give us a little context, maybe we just read 30 real quick to see just where we were. So
Oh,
this is the
yeah.
verse right before where we just read. We could just read that one.
Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination.
Okay,
He
thank you.
quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is like part two of what we were talking about on Thursday. Yeah, so he's Krishna's kind of he's doubling down on his compassion that he expressed in verse 30. You know, he's saying even if a devotee slips, they won't stay down. Right? They'll rise again and they'll rise quickly. So on Thursday, we talked a lot about how if you mess up or you have a really bad habit that's pulling you away from God, that you should still be considered saintly. That connection to God is still there, and that's what God really sees. So in here, he's just taking it a step further and he's saying, they won't stay down. They'll rise again and they'll rise quickly. And earlier in the Gita, Krishna says that people who are deliberately harmful or hostile towards God don't become devotees at all. So now the question is like, how can someone who does something wrong still be considered a devotee, let alone like saintly? How is that? How can those two things exist at the same time? And the answer here, and again, what we talked about a lot on Thursday, is that this devotion isn't defined by never slipping. This devotion is defined by the direction of the heart. So a genuine devotee is not someone who doesn't make mistakes. A devotee is someone who keeps Krishna in their heart and who keeps returning to devotion. Who keeps allowing themselves to be purified by the process and doesn't abandon the path even during weakness. So this is a person who may fall down, but they're just continually trying to get back up. And what happens is when somebody sincerely practices bhakti, when they're hearing, when they're chanting God's names, when they're remembering God, when they're serving, it's like their heart is just being washed. It's just like a scrubber on their heart. And what happens is Krishna becomes the center of their consciousness. And it's this connection itself, just this connection with God that is purifying them. So even if they slip, even if their conditioning becomes so strong that they fall down, the process will keep pulling them back. And Prabhupada highlights something really beautiful, because in traditional Vedic culture, if someone messes up, if someone messed up, there's these elaborate rituals that are required to regain purity. But what Krishna is saying is that for a devotee, purification is already happening internally. And this is one of the reasons we chant the holy name. It is not we chant God's names over and over on japa beads. And it's not intended to be just a ritual. It's intended to be like a lifeline. Chanting God's names, it's like a shield. It's like this cleansing force that just keeps the heart awake and protected. Even if someone's struggling or stumbling. So it's really powerful, this chanting of the holy names. This is a quite a quite a big practice in bhakti. Is chanting God's names just over and over again. This in a mood of surrender. So in this verse, Krishna's telling Arjuna, he says, declare it boldly, my devotee never perishes. And this is Krishna asking Arjuna to announce it publicly. And he gets it can be kind of hard to believe, because from the outside it can look kind of confusing, like a devotee can slip and their behavior might not always look saintly in that moment. But this verse is Krishna reassuring us that devotee will quickly become steady again. So the mental agitation, the emotional turbulence, the inner restlessness, that caused the fall, it will settle. This is so reassuring. This is so reassuring. It's like you always have hope, whether this is you or whether this is somebody that you know. If that connection to God is there, if God is in the heart, the devotee will never perish. And this isn't a material statement. This doesn't mean materially. This is spiritually. You'll never lose what you have. And you'll always come back. And that's what Krishna's saying here. He goes even deeper. Even if the steadiness takes time, even if somebody is just in the trenches of it, and they're not quite there yet. And even if the devotee is falling far, like they are just way down that rabbit hole of we talked a lot about on Thursday about addiction. Krishna is saying, my devotee never perishes, meaning the relationship remains intact. Like Krishna doesn't leave you. You become an alcoholic, your wife leaves you, your family leaves you. Krishna doesn't leave you. You may slip, but he won't let you be lost. The fall may be real, but it's not final. Your spiritual progress is protected, even if it becomes temporarily covered. And it might not become uncovered in this life. But that relationship is there. Krishna won't leave you. There might be accidents, but spiritually speaking, there won't be fatalities. And this is because devotion is so strong, it leaves these impressions on the soul. And so if you've practiced before, when you come back to it, just like riding a bike or like skiing, I can like not ski for years, and then all of a sudden I put skis on. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I kind of remember how to do this. It's like devotion. It's already there's already such a strong impression in your heart that when that conditioning lessens its grip on you, you'll come back to it easily. And you might be a little rusty at first, but the soul will remember. And Krishna doesn't force anyone. We know this. He doesn't force anyone. He gives everybody free will. But he does help arrange these circumstances to help his devotees come back to him as soon as possible. He puts people in your life or circumstances in your life. It's all intended just to help you see, just to help you turn back. Again, I see this in my dad's life. He drinks himself just into a stupor every day. Now he has this condition where the doctors are telling him if you drink, you're going to die. So he has like no choice but to kind of lift up that rock and turn it over and look at the dirt underneath. It's like such an opportunity, whether he sees it like that or not. It's such an opportunity to say, no, I want to lift this fog. I'm ready to lift this fog. I'm ready to deal with what needs to be dealt with so that I can come back to you, so that these barriers between me and God are removed. And Krishna gives each and
Yeah,
every one of us that opportunity.
disguised in her sweater.
Are you talking, Aaron? Do you have something to say? Okay. Krishna gives each and every one of us that opportunity in our own lives. However we choose to see it, but he's there with us and he's doing that for us all. Doing that for us all, pulling away our material attachments so that we can connect with him more authentically, more sincerely. So this is what never perish really means. It means that their spiritual life never dies. Their spiritual life never dies. And again, this isn't meant to make us lazy. It's not like, don't worry, Krishna's going to fix everything. Like, well, I'll just do whatever I want. That's not love. That's negligence. What we really should see here is that Krishna loves me enough to chase me even when I fall. Why would I ever want to leave him if you have a love like that? If you have just this unconditional love, why would we ever want to leave that? Why would we ever want to take it for granted? Why would we ever want to not show up? So this should make us feel, safe and wanted and seen. Krishna's nature is to reclaim, not reject, to lift, not condemn, to embrace, not abandon. So that's what he's saying here in this verse. When he says, "My devotee never perishes," he's saying their heart won't be lost, their devotion won't be erased, their spiritual journey won't be destroyed. Their relationship with me will stand even through the storms. Their advancement may get covered, but it will be uncovered again. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but through Krishna's arrangement and their own sincerity. So this isn't a verse just about philosophy. This is a window into Krishna's heart that we shouldn't take for granted. This is the only relationship that you'll have that will be so unconditional. This level of unconditional love that Krishna is offering us. So powerful. We just have to turn back towards it. So his message is don't be afraid of your accidental mistakes. Don't think that if one stumbles, it cancels your progress. And don't let guilt make you walk away. Because he's telling us, my devotee never perishes. Never perishes. This is how strong the relationship is and how powerful devotion is. And how deeply Krishna protects someone who's just sincerely trying to come to him. It's really beautiful. It's such a message of hope. Katie, do you want to share with us?
Sure, I will. Um, yeah, just a few things. It was making me think of kind of like simple, what seems maybe simple is like really powerful, you know? Like I remember a few years back when I was a bit newer, asking a teacher, like being like, wait, even the demons are devotees, you know? And when really starting to like understand everyone, even the worst people, worst that we experience, people that we think, you know, even they are coming back at some point, are still even progressing, you know,
Mm,
and that's kind of like a moment, you know, and just remind me think of that. And then also, you know, like you're saying, of course, like we need to put in effort. But I was also realizing how, like, you know, and maybe more recently or as time goes on, like my poor, and so we put in effort and Krishna already always is, you know, so it needs both, right?
mm,
And I was just feeling how, like, what's like required of me or what I do in my sadhana and life, like it, for in Krishna consciousness, is so enjoyable that it feels like I really it's not anything hard or annoying or like, ugh, I don't want to do
mm.
this or like that, you know, like it's the stuff that Krishna's asking us to do in the morning and with each other and in our hearts is like becoming more and more like it does, it feels like I want to put the effort in, but I it's really he makes it really easy. I don't know.
Mm,
It was just making me think of
yeah.
that. Yeah, like it changes, like, I think over time and makes you want to put more effort in because you're enjoying the it, you know. And then one other thing I'm kind of forgetting, but I yeah, I guess it might come to me later, but kind of in that idea of thinking about other people and how we can relate to other people and realizing like, you know, it seems simple, but it's true. Like they are worthy of our grace and patience, you know, like they are just like us. They're devotees on a point in their path, you know, and
Yes.
that was just all that was making me think of all that. So thanks so much.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful. Materially speaking, we like to look at people and like judge them. We do that. I know before I got into this path, it was like, to me, it's very obvious who was saintly and who wasn't. If they're saintly, they're doing saintly things. If they're not doing saintly things, they're not saintly. But this is such an internal definition that we can't really even judge on the outside. A relationship with God, their internal relationship with God. We can't. There's a lot of ways we can't really see that, or
Mm,
we can't really judge that. And sometimes our conditioning covers it up so much that then it's like we really can't see it. So
yeah.
we have to kind of stop trying to be the judges and like what you said, we just have to treat everyone with the same, love and compassion and respect because honestly, we don't really know who we're dealing with. We could be
Yeah.
dealing with somebody who is so evolved, but just really stumbled in this life, and their conditioning is covering them so much that it's just not visible for us. But we still have to see them like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remembered the other thing was more from last class, you know, realizing our mistakes we can just learn from them and think about them, but we can also move on without guilt, without feeling less. And that's a big one. That seems like, again, simple, but it's big and powerful, for ourselves and
Yes.
others. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we can just forgive ourselves and
Yeah.
understand it's our human condition, our conditioning is gonna pull us down. And to different degrees, but it's gonna trip us up. And all we can do in this life is just learn from it and move on. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you have for us?
Apologies, this is an intentional unmute this time.
Good.
I actually was just gonna say exactly what you were saying. And thank you, Katie, for bringing up the demons are devotees too, because I feel like that's my biggest takeaway from these past two verses is the you know goal of non-judgment. That all of this is such an internal process, and what we see externally is just that. But I just wanted to share this one example because while I feel like that is my takeaway, I also feel like it's so easy to judge, like
Hmm.
especially for me. I don't know if you've been following the Buddhist monks who are doing the walk for peace.
Yeah.
But they're so, I mean, their posts are amazing. Obviously, the whole activity is so beautiful, so devotional, and just like they're what I've seen is like all this acceptance from people and bringing them flowers and encouraging them and cheering them on. But my mom was telling me over the weekend about I can't remember where it was, but that there was like a group of um, people who were like anti them, who were like protesting them and
Hmm.
saying like that, because essentially like because they don't believe in Jesus, like that they're irreligious, like that they do not have a religion. And I'm just so perplexed by it because I'm like, clearly, like Jesus would be standing with the monks on this debate, like, and so I feel like while I've been thinking a lot more in this verse about how you can't judge based on the externals and you don't know anyone's real relationship with God, I hear like something like that and I'm like, oh, but one side is so clearly wrong in this. And yeah, so I feel like I'm like hearing it and trying to learn it, but I'm definitely not like it's not practicing it because
Hmm.
I think it's especially for me it's just like so easy to judge and be like and just feel like well I definitely know better like
Hmm.
like that it doesn't matter what religion they are or what they're wearing or what God they pray to, like God is with, like what name of God they pray to, like God is with them.
Hmm.
And for someone to stand there and protest and say that he's not just seems hard to not judge that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that happens, you know. People have varying degrees and levels of understanding of even their own religion and practice and sometimes don't see the essence of what they're doing or the essence of what they believe in other traditions. And yeah, that happens, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a strong relationship with God and are working on their own path and are where they are in their own path. And yeah, just like you said, we have to have compassion and understand that and see that they're trying in their own way see the essence of what they're trying in their own way. And yeah, maybe their conditioning is kind of covering that up or kind of limiting their ability to really reach a hand out in compassion, but they're trying. Yeah. Kalachanji.
Oh, yes, thank you. Just two things on what's just been said. With Erin, I mean, sometimes you do know better, I think. Um,
Mm.
and there's a difference between judging and discerning and using
Mm.
your intelligence. And it sounds to me like you're using your intelligence, seeing what's in front of you. And, others might disagree, but you're certainly right in your mind, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Um, but
That's
also,
beautiful. Thank you for saying that, Kalachanji.
oh yeah, I love the way Erin, I mean the way Katie is so compassionate. She's relating this verse to other people. I'm so much more self-centered. I just find this verse, super assuring for myself. I mean that I'm, despite all my disqualifications, there's still hope, and Krishna hasn't given up, and I just love that. But I also love the way people are seeing that for other people as well. Thank you.
Beautiful. Great shares. Thank you so much.
And I'd like to add,
Yeah, you're echoing a little bit, darling.
yeah, see,
Okay.
I'd like to add too that sometimes, you can really see that even the demons, people who are super judgmental or, who are psychopaths or really mean or you can still see them as spirit souls on their path, and Krishna actually loves them, and that's an amazing wonder to even imagine how Krishna can love who someone we perceive as really, really bad, like the worst. But we also can discern, like Carl said, that when to respect them from a distance.
Mm.
Sometimes you have to put distance between you and someone who could really agitate you and hurt you and you know is abusive in that way, because
Mm.
there are demons are generally abusive in some way. So
Yes.
so we can see them as eternal spirit souls that eventually will reach perfection by the grace of whatever. Right now, we need to stay kind of far away and just pray for them. That's what Jesus meant when he said, pray for your enemies.
Mm. Yes. I love that. Thank you, Stella. It's such an internal disposition. Like loving someone doesn't necessarily mean being there doing everything for them or enabling them or being their, garbage receptor or disposal. I don't know. It's like sometimes like loving somebody is just not harboring any ill feelings towards them and genuinely being their well-wisher, wishing the best for them, praying for them, and that having that love and compassion in your heart. And then what you do on the outside, it can be, it can be being there for them 100% or maybe not at all physically, whatever is needed to also love yourself. Yeah. Narayani.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. There's so nice points that were already mentioned. What I was thinking actually, that it is very generous from Krishna to accept us with all our shortcomings. You can see a lot of grace, and when you study, for example, Nectar of Instruction, then one of the defects of the conditioned soul is making mistakes, and that this can be a good point for people who try to be perfectionists. And
Mm.
but in general, it is nice to know that he will not condemn us. Of course, always depending on what do we do when we make a mistake. Do we still turn towards Krishna or towards God or divinity, or do we completely turn away and get ourselves lost in all the bad stuff? But looking from the point of that he is very generous with forgiving our mistakes, that is very, very motivating, I would say.
Yes, that's beautiful. Because in a healthy relationship, it's like if somebody's extending their hand to you, you're not like biting it off or taking advantage of it, or you're showing up. So you're saying, "Wow, I see you're giving me so much mercy, and you're there for me all the time. I want to show up. I want to be there for you all the time, and I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I may slip, but I'm gonna keep trying." That should be our relationship with God. Thank you, Narayani. Really nicely said. Maria.
Thanks. I just wanted to say that for about 2.5 months now, I've been meditating at the Oakmont Library with the Buddhist monks. They come there and we meditate with them, and they're so awesome. They're just about loving kindness and peace. That's their whole motivation in life. And I just think it's so beautiful. So I love that being brought up about them. I can't believe there's anybody who's trying to attack them either. That's just crazy.
Wow. Yeah. And as spiritualists, we can see something like the Buddhist monks. We can see what they're doing is a beautiful thing, and that they're promoting love and peace and compassion. That's beautiful. And then we can also discern, like Carl said, in the Bhakti tradition, we are more about a personal relationship with God. So we can see kind of the difference in our tradition and respect that and honor it, but also see that what they're doing, promotes love and peace. And Buddhism isn't about a personal divinity, isn't about a personal relationship with God. And our tradition is, that's really what we're trying to do here is to build that personal relationship with God. But there's some beautiful similarities and beautiful overlap, and we can appreciate and recognize that without throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So, yeah, really nice. Thank you. Shakti.
Hi, good morning. Sorry that I was late. I'm not sure what verse that we're on, but I'm listening and I'm thinking like this, like just now, as I got up super early and I was like sitting, doing my chanting, and I must have passed out because it was such an emotional, exhausting 2 days. I mean, we literally drove to New York, stayed at my friend's house while we talked about her passing.
Mm.
And it was so emotional. It like literally took all of the energy out of my whole body, um, and to be at her funeral and her kids, who I know since they're two, like sharing about her, and her husband couldn't even go up. Like his mother went up and talked about her. And so it's um, like showing up there and then coming home we got home last night. And then I got up this morning and I was like, should I sleep in? What should I do? And then I was awake, and then I must have fallen out. And I'm like, should I join the call? Should I not join the call? Are they going to judge me? Are they going to be like, why is she not on the call early? What was she doing? Um, but I need to be here. Like, I need to be like, this is like family. You guys are family for me, right? So in times of in times of true desperation, I reach out to Krishna and to my family, to those I know that love me, even if I showed up a little bit late. And that was like really the reason why I was gonna type, oh, I'll see you guys on Thursday. But I was like, no, I need that. I need love. I need that love. I need that connection. I need I need to be near them. And this is near you, right? As I can be. And I don't know, it was the hardest weekend, probably one of the hardest weekends of my life. And I don't know how to process it really. So I guess it exhausted me, and I fell asleep. And but I just wanted to come on and be here. And yeah, I don't, like I said, I didn't know what verse we were on, but I wanted to just share how grateful I am for all of you, because I always feel like you're my family, and I always know that you're here, and it's really touching to my heart to be here. And if I wouldn't have gotten on, I know I would have kicked myself and said, you should have gone on. Like I'm thinking of Radha Priti, I'm thinking of you going, like, of course, come on. Like, you were late, who cares?
Shakti, we missed you, but we did not even, I didn't even, there was no judgment. It was like, oh, I hope Shakti's okay.
I
And
know.
then I was so happy when I saw your name flash on. So yeah, thank you for coming. And yeah, being late's never a problem. We do what we can. We get it. We've all got a lot going on.
Hare
So
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Satyabhama. I
Satyabhama.
would like to put a link, but Krishna promised that he is always present in those who seek him. And this bond isn't broken by temporary forgetfulness or strain. His divine love ensure and remember and protect them, guiding them back to him when they are ready. So it's like devotee, when torn away from Krishna grace, and is believed to guide them back, offering protection and support. A concept, because I will tell you in my experience, I'm 65 years old, and when I was 12, between 10 or 12, I get contact with devotee in our country in South America. And I used to go to a temple, as a young girl, going, enjoying the prasadam, enjoying the kirtan. But then in my teenage years, I get older, like maybe 16 or so. I started getting interested in Krishna consciousness, trying to follow the rules and everything, going to the temple, not missing any program. And then I fall back. I completely fall back. I came from a Hindu family. So I fall back. I still like, going to Hindu temple and stuff. But when I came back into Krishna consciousness, and it's my brother who encouraged me and bring me back into ISKCON. So when I came back into ISKCON, I was around 21 years old. And when I came back, was no turning back anymore. And gradually I have my first, my second initiation, my dear Guru Maharaj is Jayapataka Swami. Wow. And that's there where I go. And Krishna mercy, it's so graceful. Krishna gave us free will that either we take him up and, become his devotee. And like he said, this is the most important one in my life. And this chapter I like, the sloka is, with one offer me a fruit, a flower, a leaf. The most important thing is with devotion. So even now we come once to Krishna with that devotion. Even once we come, Krishna never forget his devotee. And why he never forget that devotee? Because when the devotee came to him, they came with pure devotion. So when a devotee blow up, our work is to help and guide. Don't gossip about the devotee and say, oh, that's the reason why the devotee blow up. He not good in devotional service. Like you said, judging. No, judging. A devotee of Vaishnava is egoless. They have no ego. So we humble ourselves like a blade of grass. Always, always got to be like that. So every time you see something happen, you always remember, I'm like a blade of grass. We humble ourselves. We go, and you don't go with the ego or anything, and you start encourage devotee. Like my brother just sit with me, he start talking to me, and he's a devotee. He's a senior devotee in New York Temple. And I live in New York, and I spent 10 years in ISKCON Temple in Atlanta there
Oh,
too.
wow.
I was living there. Sandra, we were friends, and Sandra get
Oh,
into
wow.
into temple.
Wow.
And she asked me to come on board here because it's a long while. I haven't so much. I'm so fortunate, I will tell you. When you have, I had in my home, I have a lifestyle altar in my home. People comes from all walks of broad in my home. Even
Yeah.
when there is these Christian people come and they knock on my door. And when they knock, I remember when I was living in Georgia, I have a cousin live a door apart, and the Christian devotees will come and hit on my door, and I will open my door to them. I will not turn them away. And when they come,
Yeah.
they sit with me and I sit with them. We exchange. That's what I did. We exchange. And I told them that there's only one way you can, get me to give up my Lord. You really got to convince me, you know? But I can tell you, and I exchange and I tell them about Krishna. At least I said something back to them. I tell them about Krishna. So when they walk out of the door, so my neighbor, my cousin, she would say, "Why you open the door to them?" I say, "You know what? They're a devotee of God. You cannot return anybody who they worship, because the main thing, God is God, and Krishna say, I am the air I breathe, I'm everything." So even if some clouds say a Christian, like Prabhupada said, if you are a Hindu, be a true Hindu. If you are a Christian, be a true Christian. And if you are a Muslim, be a true Muslim. We can't judge nobody. We cannot. Even when someone out of Krishna consciousness sees something negative, I bring that into positive. I don't go back negative towards them. So we are not here to judge, Thank you very much, Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. Such a sincere soul. So beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Even a religious person, that their conditioning can cover them, and they can act more out of fear than out of love. And we just like you said, we have to discern between even what's their conditioning, what's their fear coming out, and how that's impacting their ability to really understand the essence of their so-called religion. So, and that happens, but at their heart, they're they're still trying, and they still seek relationship with God, and they may be a little bit misdirected. They may not understand it totally at its essence, but they're seeking relationship with God, and to the degree that we judge them, we become just as divisive as they are. So in that, we have to see them with that lens, and still treat them with love and compassion, because it was today Martin Luther King Day, right? I mean, we have to. We can't approach hate with hate. We have to. The only way to really extinguish hate is with love. And if hate with hate it's just a wildfire. So appropriate on Martin Luther King Day, like today. He was such a testament to that. We can't turn into the divisiveness that we see, if we really want to create change, if we really want to spread love and God consciousness, which is really the solution to everything, all the material problems. This is God consciousness. Yeah. Kalachandji, please share with
Yeah.
us.
Hare Krishna?
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Oh, when you mentioned Martin Luther King Day, I have to share that, what was that, 1962, 3? That I was there on sitting on my father's shoulders, just on the side of the reflecting pool, watching all the speeches and hearing that speech. I was just a child. And that was such a powerful moment to me, to look around and see, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people all together. And at that time, like black and white, everybody, men and women, that was not such a common thing. And I thank my father, from my heart for bringing me there. And it was a real seminal changing moment in my life, for sure. So I think it's wonderful that you bring up this day and what it means to us as devotees as well.
Wow, what a special soul. What fortunate karma to be at an event like that. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's what we're really called to do here as devotees. It's not about putting on a sari and fitting into a club or religion. It's about loving everyone and seeing God in everyone, even our perpetrators or even the people that it's just seems really difficult to see. Their covering is just so thick. It's like it seems impossible to really see God in their heart, but that's what we're called to do. That's what we're called to do. We cannot become divisive when we see people that are divisive. We can be hurt by it and we can say this isn't right, but don't let us become divisive because that's not the solution. It's just going to create more divisiveness. Yeah. Martin Luther King was such a devotee. Anybody else have reflections around that? I don't think we have enough time to go on to the next verse. So, yeah, I just want to say, the power of devotional service. There's so many examples in scriptures where, somebody could live a completely degraded life and then chant God's name one time. And that attracts God's mercy. It's just, we should never underestimate the power of these practices or never think that, oh, I'm not doing enough. Krishna doesn't see me. This isn't going to work. It's like we do what we can when we can, and we put our faith in the process. And we know that even just a little bit, say you have a full day, you don't even have time for chanting, but you can get in your car and you can chant in your car, or you can listen to a class, or you can tune into this even if you're late. Doesn't matter. Just a little bit will attract God's mercy, and he will take care of you. I mean, that's his promise to us. He won't forget you. Even if the next night totally forget him by doing something completely stupid, and he understands. It's our human condition. Keep trying. He will pull you out over time. And that's really the message here. That's really the message here is this bhakti practice is so strong, so potent. We're so fortunate to have this, to meet devotees and to have this process, this practice in our lives. Kalachanji.
Just on your, like, do what you can, whatever little. I certainly, I'm sure others have shared this. I've not always been so steady in being able to chant my 16 rounds every day. And Malati Prabhu, who, Stella was with her and she must have said something, and Malati Prabhu gave her a string of japamala, and I don't know, maybe a quarter strand, just so many beads, and she said, "Tell them to chant on this." And I've been chanting on those, and I haven't been counting. But chanting, and one can also count with time. It doesn't have to be number. And boy, it's just helped my chanting so much just to chant and not to feel that pressure of, how much, how little. So I really want to echo, your comment of whatever one can do, you do what you can do, and however little you do, that's a ton. So thank you for that.
Yes. Thank you. I even have a teacher who doesn't endorse a certain number because he says that people just treat it like a checklist. And in his experience, his students lose connection with its essence. And I'm, not endorsing one way or the other, but that's a very real thing when our practice starts just to become a checkbox. Okay, 16 rounds, or however many rounds we promise. It's like we can't forget how important it is to really sit down with sincerity with whatever time we have, 5 minutes, but just let that be your sincere cry for God during that time. And that 5 minutes could be so much more powerful than 2 hours spent mindlessly just, you know, mechanically chanting.
And I don't mean to de-emphasize that Prabhupada gave us a standard of 16 rounds, and that
Yeah,
should be our goal.
I'm totally with you. 100%. Thank you. Thank you, Kalachandji. Anybody else before we end for the day?
I just want to just because he won't say it, but that he is turning 70, the big 70, this Wednesday. So
Wow, 70, amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. We are so blessed for your association and grateful that you took birth on this planet the same time we did to learn from you. Both in your wisdom that you share and in your sincerity and the way that you practice it.
Thank you. I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you, Kalachandji. So nice. Okay, well that's our time for the day. And let's make this class kind of a catalyst for some reflections today on this most auspicious day of Martin Luther King Day. How we can be more conduits of love and also recognize where we're contributing to divisiveness in our lives and in our relationships, and how can we take this as inspiration, not take this relationship for granted, and be more conduits of love, because that's what God wants for us all. That's what would make God so happy. Thank you all. Thank you for coming and sharing, and we'll see you all on Thursday.
Keep the love flowing. Never let it stop. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.